Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Have you ever wondered why English spelling is so, frankly, bizarre? Well, today we are exploring the remarkable history of English and why it is so wonderfully weird.
Exactly, Jane. Right, if you are an English learner, you have probably felt completely mixed up by words like tough, thaw, and through. The reasons for this ultimately boil down to history.
It is truly a challenging language. But before we dive into the past, I have our usual quiz question for you, Joe. Are you ready?
Always ready. Lay it on me.
All right. So, about what percentage of the modern English vocabulary is actually derived from original Old English? Is it A, around 80%, B, roughly 50%, or C, only about 20 to 30%?
That is a tricky one. I know we have borrowed a lot of words, but Old English is the foundation. I will guess B, roughly 50%.
We shall see if you are right at the end of the programme. Now, let us talk about why English is such a peculiar melting pot of a language.
You know, it really started with the Anglo-Saxons. They brought Germanic languages to Britain, but subsequent invasions changed everything. For example, the Vikings brought Old Norse words like sky and knife.
And we cannot forget 1066. If the Normans had not invaded, English would sound completely different today. French became the language of the royals, while the commoners kept speaking Old English.
That is exactly why we have different words for animals and the meat they produce. The English farmers raised the cow or pig, but the French nobility ate beef and pork. It is fascinating.
Yes, it is. As a rule of thumb, shorter, more emotional words are usually Anglo-Saxon, while longer, more formal words are French or Latin. English just soaked up everything.
And then came the printing press. You would think it would make things easier, but actually it froze our spelling at a time when pronunciation was rapidly changing. Hence our completely mind-boggling spelling rules.
Exactly. We did not just borrow words from other languages. We kept their spelling and changed how we said them. It is no wonder learners find it hard to pick up.
That brings us to our language spotlight. Jane, we used some fantastic phrases today. First, I said the reasons boil down to history. What does that mean?
To boil down to is a phrasal verb, meaning to be the main reason for something. For instance, you could say, the problem boils down to a lack of money.
Brilliant. You also called English a melting pot. This is a lovely idiom describing a place where different cultures or ideas mix together. London, for example, is a cultural melting pot.
And I mentioned a rule of thumb. This idiom means a broadly accurate guide or principle. For example, as a rule of thumb, you should drink 2 litres of water a day.
Finally, we talked about learners trying to pick up the language. That is a phrasal verb meaning to learn a skill naturally, without formal lessons, like picking up Italian by living in Rome.
Perfect. Well, I think it is time to return to our quiz question. I asked what percentage of English vocabulary comes from Old English.
And I guessed B, roughly 50%. Was I anywhere close?
I am afraid not. The correct answer is C. Only about 20 to 30%. The vast majority of our vocabulary was borrowed from Latin, French, and other languages.
Wow, that is genuinely remarkable. It really shows how dynamic the language is.
It does. So, to all our listeners trying to master English, bear in mind that it is a beautiful mess. Do not worry about making mistakes. Just keep practicing and you will catch on.
Absolutely. Embrace the weirdness of English. Thank you for joining us today, and we will catch you in the next episode.